Welcome to Light Verse Recap. You're listening to Starting with 13 Hidden Traits, written by June Young, brought to you by Light Verse Recap. To unlock the rest of these chapters, you can become a supporter or join as a Shadow Star member, and you'll get a link to the audio library of your favorite light novel. As a member, you'll get notified on every new chapter update, enjoy a brand new audiobook release each month, and gain full access to the entire audio library to download. Link in the bio. In a world where the boundary between game and reality has all but vanished, one man awakens with a secret advantage. 13 hidden traits that no one else possesses. What begins as a familiar system-driven journey quickly transforms into a high-stakes adventure of power, survival, and destiny. Winner of the 2022 Munpia Contest, Start with 13 Hidden Traits blends the thrill of an isekai fantasy with the drama of a shounen epic. Listeners will be drawn into a universe where forgotten games come alive, enemies lurk in every shadow, and the protagonist must harness his extraordinary abilities to carve a path through chaos. Chapter 1. Hidden Piece. Why are there all these trash games? I clenched my fists as I looked at the words game over that appeared on the monitor. The moment when the character you worked so hard to develop falls apart. I got so angry that it was a good idea not to throw the mouse. However, as if he was used to it, he soon calmed down and took a cigarette. My life is legendary, as I've been obsessed with this game for over 5 years already. I light a cigarette and look out the window. Well, am I in a position to criticize something as trash? Park Hyeon is the name my parents gave me to live wisely. But I was spending my days none the wiser. Outside the window, the sun is already high in the sky. Weekdays, not weekends. A time when everyone is working hard. As a homeless person, I was immersed in the game without even washing up, like I was a waste of money. It's time to fold. Pangea, a game that became very popular 5 years ago. When it was released, it was criticized a lot and called a crazy game. If a character dies, everything evaporates and the player has to start the game again from the beginning. Moreover, it boasts an unprecedented level of difficulty, and no one has ever cleared it. Is that why? The brief flash of popularity faded away in an instant. As of now, I honestly wonder if there are more people besides me who play games. The number of concurrent users recorded on the homepage server was always either 0 or 1. For reference, 0 is when I'm not playing and 1 is when I am playing. It's a one-player game, so it's useful that the server hasn't been closed yet, but whatever. There was plenty of time at the same time. I quit my job, and I no longer have a girlfriend who nags me every day. Damn it. I closed my eyes tightly as a memory suddenly came to mind. You're a good person, but I'm sorry. I can't forever date someone without a vision. Now I'm at the age where I can even think about marriage. I was dumped by my girlfriend of 5 years. I guess I pictured a future where only I would live together. All of my friends meet and marry people who work for private companies or famous large corporations. But my brother, it's okay. Let's stop. So I sorted it out by myself and left. Bitch. Thanks to this, I was able to get rid of companies without a vision. What should I do in the future? Should I learn some skills now? Click. I picked up the mouse. Soon, the words, "Would you like to create a character?" appeared on the screen. Originally, life is a mess. I had the same thought when creating the previous character. But originally, the last one was the real last one. Of course, in addition to the character that was just deleted, there were already numerous characters in the window. There are characters who have reached max level, and there are characters who are decorated with all kinds of treasures. But despite this, they're confident that they do not have the qualifications to clear the game. This crazy game has ridiculously high difficulty levels in certain sections. Bosses that make you wonder if they were made to beat you, villains who suddenly stab you when you thought they were your allies, named NPCs that come and kill you when you're wanted, etc. For example, the character Thunder Slayer, created to test whether the game company is managing it, is at the max level and has quite a few treasure level items, but because he has done so many bizarre things. He is placed on a special wanted list by a named NPC and is immediately killed when he logs in. Some of the world's most powerful named NPCs exceed the player's max level. so getting caught by these guys can be considered character deletion. So, I'm unable to connect. Anyway, whatever. Let's have fun, have fun. The character I risked my life to clear was eventually deleted. Thinking about the items I wore brings tears to my eyes. I raised it by sweeping up all the unique items from other characters. There are a total of 15 unique items revealed so far in Pangea. 8 of them were collected and put into one character. It's the biggest gamble ever. When you die, 5 years go by. But he died. The character was deleted and all items were lost. A plague, 1.6 million soul points. The unique item definitely gives a lot of points. But if you lose something, you also gain something. There's a soul point SP system in Pangea. The value the character had at the time of death is converted into points and given. Players can use those soul points to give themselves an advantage when developing new characters. Hundreds of characters were deleted over 5 years, and the SP accumulated was about 80,000. However, when the character with 8 unique items was deleted, 1.6 million soul points were created. Not only was it the only item, but also the chapter progress was the highest. It was certain that the specifications were close to clear. 10,000 soul points for one talent is a bargain. The representative use of soul points is in the talent section. When creating a character, you can invest points in the talent you want, and depending on the number of points invested, rapid growth is possible. The upper limit was also 10,000 soul points. For reference, in the past, Conan with Pollock Rowe, who invested 10,000 soul points in swordsmanship, died while holding the title of Master of Swordsmanship. Normally, I would invest in the most common lightning magic talent. There are several set routes. The most common one is, of course, lightning-type magic talent. But this game had hundreds of different types of talent to invest in. With 1.6 million points, you will be able to max out most, if not all, of your talents. If you invest more than 3,000 points in each of the 5 major elemental talents, the Void attribute will be unlocked. If you invest 5,000 points again in the Void attribute, you can obtain the Void attribute. Talent gives birth to other talents. It was a kind of hidden piece. There were countless designs of this type in Pangea. As I am one of the many dead people, I couldn't understand everything, so I'm done talking. If you have an utility trait, you can use conflicting magic. You can also take light and dark affinity, so make sure to take it with you. In this game, one character cannot use conflicting attributes at the same time, unless you use tools or other media. However, if you have the nihilism characteristic, you can use these conflicting magics or attributes together. However, since you have to spend 10,000 points just to obtain the utility trait itself, you will inevitably not have enough points to invest in other talents. A very difficult game. When a character dies, the SP invested is lost. It is difficult to start with such a clear talent. But true fun games are random. Let's go Orlandom. Even if you try to plan a route by considering this and that, it's just a headache. If you want to truly enjoy and stop playing games, there is nothing more certain than Orlandom. Everything, including traits, is random. It was a ruinous choice, but it put a smile on my face. The purpose is to enjoy the game, not clear it. All 1.6 million points are randomly bet. I can't wake up anyway. I tried all kinds of struggles to wake up. To conclude, this game was not released to be broken. When Pangea was launched, the developer declared war on users. I will make one dream come true to the person who clears the game. Makes dreams come true. Many people took on the challenge and were frustrated by the developer's words that he would achieve anything. 5 years later, the game has not been cleared. Until about a year ago, there were still a few people, but now it has become a game I challenge alone. However, I plan to enjoy the game properly for the first and last time. Press. I've tried randomizing appearances before, but this is my first time selecting completely at random. It was the random button that was notorious for being so inefficient and useless. The essence of times gone by. It wasn't easy to make a choice that included everything. I closed my eyes and click, pressed. Surely. At the same time, the dice started rolling and everything started to be decided randomly. But that wasn't the end. A phrase I had never seen before appeared on the monitor. Hidden piece. You who are brighter than light and darker than darkness, in the whirlpool of creation and destruction. May you be happy in Pangea. The game intro also comes to mind, just as I was about to press the skip button like usual. The letters pop out of the monitor and flutter. It was that moment. God like a dog. I will burn down every world you have created. A voice of scraping metal was heard. At the same time, hell unfolds before your eyes. The continent of Pangea was falling onto the earth and collapsing along with it. The graphics were not poor quality, but the quality was so good that it looked like a real situation. Was there a video like this in the intro? For a moment, I felt that question. My consciousness disappeared into the distance. Chapter 2. 13 Hidden Characteristics. You useless slaves. Can't you walk fast? Sigh. I came to my senses with a sharp pain. However, my body, unable to maintain its balance, rolled around on the floor, and it was only after I hit my head on the sand that I realized something was wrong. What is this situation now? I lost my mind while watching the game intro, and when I came to my senses again, here was the situation. It was a very embarrassing situation, but my head felt colder than I expected. It's not my body. Thick hands. A muscle so colorful that even a gym trainer would cry. It's not my body, but it feels so vivid as if it were my own body. Also, judging by my tightly bound hands in the current situation, I am being dragged away. When I looked up, hundreds of men were also tied up in ropes and being dragged away. After combining the person who whipped me in the current situation, I came up with an answer. War slave. They are the remnants of the defeated soldiers. They were defeated in the war and taken as slaves. But what was even more surprising was the large monster leading the way. Hydragon. That monster, which combines the lower body of a 9-headed hydra and a dragon, looks very familiar. It's clearly a monster I've never seen before, but I know what it is as soon as I see it. Hydragon is like the first adversity that every player who plays the game must face. A graphic block materialized and appeared before my eyes. Having raised nearly 1,000 characters and experienced that many, I was bound to get used to it, but it wasn't normal to be immediately convinced of the monster in the game. It has to happen. There was no time to indulge in sentimentality. If you continue to sit like this, you will die. As soon as I got up from my seat, a whip flew at me. My hair stood on end from the intense pain, but I suppressed my moans. If you fall again, I will throw you as food for the Hydragon. I guess it's Hydragon. Now everything is clear. It's Pangea. Am I in a game? Something incomprehensible. It's normal to be confused, but surprisingly calm. On the contrary, I figured it out and adapted to it in an instant. All senses, including touch, are no different from reality. Then, it's a game, but it's not a game. It was very realistic, but I remembered rolling the dice at the end. All random. Didn't everything turn randomly? If the results were what they are now, there was something that had to be confirmed. Status window. It was that moment. Sigh. A rolled-up piece of parchment appeared before my eyes and slowly unfolded. Level 1. Strength. 12 stamina. 12 dexterity. 12. Intelligence. 12 horsepower. 12. Health, constitution, intelligence, sense. Swordsmanship, shield, spear, axe, dagger, archery. Light, darkness, fire, water, earth, wind, air. Her. Arts, academics, leadership, observation. Nothingness. Handicraft. All master. Weapon master. Giants, anti-magic power. Druids, natural affinity. Heart of the Iron Bloodlord. Beast Lord. Golden grace. Heaven. Mutation. Glutton. Great sage. Crazy. As soon as I saw it, I tried to suppress the urge to get angry. A status window did appear, but what appeared did not make sense. First of all, abilities. Original ability scores range from 1 to 10 depending on talent. But beyond that, it's 12. They all uniformly start with 12. It was the first golden start I've seen in 5 years of Pangea. Is it not only that? How many talents have been identified? The parchment goes down endlessly. As if over 200 talents were recorded, more than 10 hidden characteristics were activated. It was a hidden trait that could make one the strongest in reverse radiating spirit and energy by possessing just one. I have exactly 13 of them. 13 hidden characteristics. Even the named NPCs who achieve transcendence by eating stars and the strongest monsters in the Abyss worldview do not have the 13 hidden characteristics. About 5 at most. Never before. One of them particularly stood out. Heart of the Iron Blood Lord. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Asterisk, asterisk, read Korean novel, asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, 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 ranavel.com, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. A linked trait and hidden trait that appears when all physical talents are acquired. The heart of the Iron Blood Lord. Roughly speaking, it has the function of not getting tired easily, not being surprised by most things, and being able to accept situations quickly. In addition, it is an attribute that increases stamina and honor that are not visible in the ability score window, allows you to receive better quality quests, and grants Monarch's qualifications. There are a whopping 13 of those things. I looked at all the hidden characteristics and looked at the following. Pangea collapse. Border with reality? I don't know what that means. I do not get what it means. What was certain was that things were happening to me that were far beyond my normal understanding. However, one cannot remain immersed in contemplation forever. Hey, I spoke to the man ahead. The man with his right middle and index fingers cut off weakly turned his head and looked at me. What? Where am I? It's the Kaltzman Desert. I passed out from the heat and asked again, ignoring the look in his eyes as if he had lost his mind. Kaltzman Desert? You're not going to Faisalmer, are you? The Kaltzman Desert, located in the southeastern part of the continent, is a notorious land where 3 major tribes reside. This is because all 3 tribes are maniacs who make slave hunting their business and engage in war. And Faisalmer was like an intermediate city where captured slaves were sold. That's right. So, give up any thoughts of returning alive. Was that why there was no light in the slaves' eyes? Slaves captured in Faisalmer will never survive. A place that should never be designated as a starting point. If you get dropped in the Kaltzman Desert, it's better to just delete the character and raise it again. It is a notorious desert to begin with. I remember trying to start here just once out of curiosity, but then giving up. Since then, I have never chosen the Kaltzman Desert as a starting point. Damn it, it was my mistake to decide the starting point at random. Who should you blame? I solved the last bundle of questions. But did the Kaltzman tribes originally treat slaves in such large quantities? No matter how large a slave trader is, they handled dozens of slaves at most, but this procession now seemed to be well over 300. The man frowned. How do I know that? Why are we being dragged away? Why are we being captured? Well, the expedition stragglers. Expedition? What expedition? Huh. A Demon World expedition led by the 8 heroes. After losing, you and I were caught running away. Did you get some heat? 8 warrior? Demon World expedition? It was my story. No, to be exact, this is the story of a character I played right before I created this character. We gathered 8 unique items from the 8 strongest characters and formed an expedition. And I ate it cold. I entered the Demon World and got close to the Demon Temple, but in the end, I couldn't open the last door and it was game over. It seems that it is known as the 8 heroes and the expedition. Fuck, if it weren't for the infighting, the expedition would have been successful. Infighting? What infighting? I was about to ask, but at that moment the ground shook. At the same time, main quest 1, survive. Compensation, differential payment depending on contents. In case of failure, death, both bodies in both the game and reality died. A quest appeared before my eyes. Survive. In this situation, what was even more shocking was the penalty for failure. Does the real body really mean my body? Suddenly the intro came to mind. Pangea and Earth colliding. Grumble, grumble. However, there was no time to think longer. A huge fuselage was approaching from afar with a harsh sound. 3 Hydragons. Reform your battle lines. Prepare for an attack. Slaves and skilled soldiers held their breath as they pulled out their weapons from their arms. The enemies who attacked with as many as 3 hydragons began slaughtering the slave traders without any questions or answers. Snake Princess. It's the Snake Princess. Snake Princess. Have you forgotten the non-aggression pact? Ah, screams abound. Regardless of conventions or regulations, they were waging a slaughter war. Okay, it was a one-sided slaughter. If you stay like this, you'll die. Instinct was screaming. They had no hesitation in killing slaves. The goal seemed to be to completely wipe out this place. I took a bundle of keys out of the arms of the slaver who had whipped me, who was dead right in front of me. After removing the handcuffs, he grabbed his scimitar and prepared for an attack. Me too. Free me too. The soldiers of the entire expedition shouted when they saw the key pack. Still, they are soldiers who went on an expedition to the underworld. You might have expected them to fight together, but they were all crippled and broken in some way. LV-1. LV-2. As proof, all soldiers are level 1 to 2. A level down occurred due to physical loss and mental defects. However, the level is still too low. The Expedition Corps is worse than the militia. Tuck. Me first. Evil. Move. When a bundle of keys was thrown, a fight broke out. It means do it yourself. There was no time to release each person one by one. Meanwhile, the slaughter was still going on. Abi Gyuhuan. If there were hell, would it be like this? I have to survive. Chapter 3. Amazing results. Coolly. Calmly look around and organize the situation. I looked at the level of the slave traders who attacked first. LV-3'd. Most of them converged on 3. Ordinary soldier level. Unless you are a great warrior in the desert, there is a chance for you to survive. Oops. Hey, there are too many hydragons. The problem is with those guys. There are as many as 3 level 5 monsters that are classified as raid boss monsters. My level is 1. On the other hand, I am 1. They are all higher than me. No matter how much I thought about it, it was a quest without conscience. Survive at level 1 in the middle of a battlefield like this? In addition, boss monsters have additional effect judgments in addition to their level. Hydragon has poor eyesight. He can't even move his body and head at the same time. However, in this world, if you know the strategy, even a level 1 boss can kill a level 5 boss monster. Hydragon was originally designed to be captured by 12 level 1 people. You can really feel the difference in level and rank starting from level 7. So, it is possible to overcome the previous level somehow. Can do, even at level 1. It is too early to be frustrated. The most important thing was that I was one of the dead people in this game. You can serve 12 people by yourself, and that's enough. Cough. The sword and scimitar clashed. Before you know it, a soldier approaches you and starts killing you right in front of your eyes. It's a real situation. It's not a game. Swinging a sword and using your body can't be done with just one click. This is a battlefield where flesh clashes, cuts, and tears. You could survive only by moving your body yourself. It seemed like there was absolutely no hope, but there was hope. I can see Giamro. Could it be the influence of Weapon Master? Giamro is visible. It reads exactly where I need to swing. Also, once I held the weapon, I became familiar with it. It felt familiar, as if I had swung it tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of times. The actions I had to take were pictured in my head, and before I could picture in my mind, my body reacted first. Kwasik. He struck away the sword at an angle, extended his fist, and smashed the soldier's jaw. He cut off the head of a soldier who lost his balance and staggered. There was no hesitation. There was no fear. The sword rode, and all the roads were already reflected in my eyes. The Snake Princess looked at the center of the battlefield with strange eyes. Her mission is to erase this place. This is the Desert Queen's absolute command. It wasn't that difficult. She is the strongest next to the queen. Moreover, the number was much higher this way. But one of the slaves suddenly came out and started slaughtering his soldiers. What's even more surprising is that he killed even a single Hydragon. He is sweeping the battlefield alone. What is that guy? OMG. OMG. I feel like my heart will burst. Every time I let out a hot breath, it feels like I'm scraping the roof of my neck with a knife. Now I can't even tell whether what's falling from above my head are drops of blood or sweat, but what is clear is that I'm still alive. Chime. The blade of the sword broke after being struck hundreds of times. Then the net that had surrounded me began to narrow even more tightly. Among them, the spearmen holding spears were not particularly picky. The sword is broken. Kill me. Now. The good news is that these are not regular troops. It was structured according to the military style and did not move as one. Just then, a spear soldier, drunk with the desire for victory, breaks up the ranks and approaches. Ugh! I rolled over to the spearman and swept the floor. The spear soldier whose foot was caught fell down and dropped his spear. When the spear was grabbed before it hit the floor, the soldiers took advantage of that moment and swung their swords. He turned the spear blade, hooked it on the tip of the flying sword, and used the recoil to strike it away. Then the soldier's upper body lost balance. Knock! A hole was pierced in the soldier's neck with a spear blade. Instant death. With an audible sound, the bars were pulled out and the windows turned to block the approaching movements. The soldiers around him were fascinated by the acrobatics of a master spearman who had trained his spear all his life. If Heart of the Iron Blood Lord allows you to calmly observe your surroundings and not get tired easily, Weapon Master, another hidden trait, allows you to use all weapons like an expert without being skilled. It even created a synergy effect with Dexterity. The hidden trait, Dexterity, is related to skill proficiency. If the Weapon Master allows you to use all weapons and has the effect of allowing you to start at level 5 proficiency, then Dexterity helps you easily advance to higher proficiency levels. Skill proficiency also ends at level 10. Level 6 proficiency meant the level of proficiency that a famous knight had honed throughout his life. I accomplished that as soon as I picked up the weapon. There are also hidden characteristics that are linked and create synergy like this. Of course, this is something only a few people know. Hidden characteristics were not very well known even among players. Sword, spear, sword bow, scimitar mace. Any weapon was used regardless. You monster. Even that monster is tired. Kill. With all the rave reviews, the net was narrowing even further. There were 500 attackers. Even though I killed one Hydreigon, it was too much to do alone. Now that I'm only level 1, I've done everything I wanted to kill 30 soldiers and even Hydreigon. This was thanks to distributing stamina by moving as little as possible and utilizing all weapons. If other players had seen it, they would have been shocked. Even the people in the area would have been clicking their tongues, asking if that was possible. Still, it was slowly reaching its limit. Although it is limited, a smile formed on my lips. I was waiting for this. Round 2 is starting. I relax my shoulders. My rapid breathing regains stability. The movement of the approaching soldiers feels slow. I think this is what it would feel like if I were to awaken. Stop. Ugh. It was then. A woman's voice traveled through the battlefield and struck my eardrums. The soldiers froze at the sound of that voice. You're finally here. The soldiers were divided like the miracle of Moses. A woman who climbed on top of Hydreigon and leisurely looked ahead. Unlike the warriors of the desert here, although tanned, his skin is unusually white. She drooled as she watched her approach with her cat-like, graceful gait. I had been anticipating her appearance. Well, until the princess comes forward. Snake Princess. The Snake Princess sneered as her white chief spoke to her with courage. The author was not tired. I was just pretending to be tired. Well, that can't be possible. Breath and sweat. Look carefully. Does the author look out of breath? At that moment, Baekhyun Jang's eyes turned to me. He frowned as he saw me, catching my breath. The expression and eyes that say, "Why are there such monsters?" Are you saying that I pretended to be tired and let my guard down? Okay. Although it wasn't her intention, it seems that the Snake Princess saw that she recovered her stamina by leveling up. I greeted the Snake Princess with an unchanged expression. I knew it. It's rare for someone to remain unchanged even after facing me. Although it was read as a momentary killing spree, I was neither surprised nor constricted by the heart of the Iron Blood Lord, a being that can judge an opponent with just energy. I looked above her head. LV8. Level 8. The owner of a level where you will be called the strongest no matter where you put it. The standard for determining the strong in Pangea is level 7. Starting at level 7, a serious difference appears, and the level gap becomes almost impossible to reverse. And level 8 was a level that only the heads of any famous organization could reach. It was at the level of 1 or 2 people in a large city with a population of 1 million. Is there such a strong person in Faisalmere? There is. Queen of Faisalmere. However, as far as I know, there is no named NPC other than her who has reached level 8. This is the City of Beginnings. It was just a starting point. But I don't know why, but the woman in front of me looks strangely familiar. Should I say it looks familiar or feels familiar? I feel like we had a pretty deep relationship in the past. Eventually, she came close and spoke. What is your name? What's your name? I failed without even coming up with a nickname. Come to think of it, it was before I even came up with a nickname. Could this be the turning point for nicknames? Besides, the quest is not over. There is no indication that the main quest has ended. Survival. This means that the task for survival is still in progress. Probably because of the Snake Princess. Even if you add up all the people gathered here right now, it's not as good as the Snake Princess alone. There is no way my survival quest will end, because there is a threat that can definitely kill me right in front of me. Then, this name is also important. Randolph. Great Wolf? Are you from the desert? Randolph is the name of the Great Wolf. When I said a word that anyone from the desert would not know, the Snake Princess raised her eyes in surprise. But that's it. Why is someone from the desert with the expedition members from the central continent? Blatant hate. The people of the desert describe the humans of the central continent as demons. If they are captured, they will all be used as slaves and then killed. Same goes for me. I will kill you when I run out of interest. But it was questionable. I know it's an expedition team. They destroyed it without knowing it. There has never been a case in which a person was annihilated like this before they could even be used as slaves. They even killed all the people from the same desert tribe they had captured. Destruction of evidence. They are trying to hide the fact that the expedition team reached the desert. 8 heroes and expedition. It probably meant the great expedition to the demon world that I led while wearing 8 pieces of unique equipment. But I failed in my expedition. Even after all the preparations, I couldn't cross the devil's threshold. There are many reasons other than the fact that the Demon King was too strong. It's because I'm afraid of the central continent. Concluded. The Queen of the Desert is afraid of the expedition being associated with the desert. This is because I know that if I get involved in discussing the failure of the expedition, there will be a bloody storm. Soldiers were recruited from almost every major city on the continent, but the desert city of Faisalmere was out of the question. This was the best place to be witch-hunted. Therefore, we are removing everything that can be linked to even 0.1G. After briefly reading the situation, I opened my mouth. I was watching the movements of the central continent. A spy from the central continent? Who sent it? I went on my own. Self? Say something that makes sense. Above all, this is the first time I have seen a warrior like you here in the desert. Their skin color is different, and they don't even have any tribal markings. If you're planning to cheat with something you picked up somewhere. The star spoke to me. Pop. The Snake Princess's whole body stopped as if it were a lie. Then he asked me with strange eyes. Star. Embarrassment. Surprised. And earnestness. I guess it's true. Her reaction convinced me why the Snake Princess seemed familiar. It is true that the Snake Princess is something I know. And the reason she reacts this way is simple. This is because the stars are her gap. At the same time, it was the only way for me to survive. With confidence, I started acting. The awakened one. I'm not tied to any tribe. I never said I was from a desert in the first place, but I don't know why I was mistaken. Awakened person. One who reads the stars and is guided by them. They were pioneers and one of the few true wanderers in the world. Those who follow the star, move and pray for the star. And it was a name that was absolutely necessary for the Snake Princess. Snake Princess Isabella. Isabella von Dergen. What is my full name? A awakened person can hear the voice of the stars. The stars told me. Of course that didn't happen. Awakened is a class that players cannot obtain. Only selected NPCs can have them, and players must find them when they need to get stars beyond level 10. And Isabella von Dergen was a similar case, because she wanted to escape this desert more than anyone else. It was she who was bound by the Queen's curse. She was also not from a desert tribe, but she needed stars and their blessings to escape. How do you know all this? Why on earth is the character I created a snake princess? I thought it couldn't be possible, but it did catch someone. Worst starting point. I don't know why the character I created just for the sake of experience is right in front of me. The limits were clear, and there was no way to grow further in this desert, so I gave up. To be more precise, due to the Queen's curse, there was no way to proceed without the blessing of the stars. However, it was impossible to find an awakened person in the desert, so they gave up. How could you not feel embarrassed when the character you gave up on is now in front of you as the Snake Princess? It was that moment. Notification that you survived. The quest, which was not completed despite killing dozens of soldiers and defeating Hydreigon, has finally come to an end. That wasn't all. After checking the contents, I couldn't help but be astonished. Crazy. It was a reward that could be said to be truly crazy. Chapter 4. Log out. The soul of Hydreigon. Names clearly etched in your eyes. I can't take my eyes off the rewards floating in the air. Hydreigon's Spirit Raid. You can summon and use Hydreigon. LV5. Hidden characteristics can be strengthened by Beast Lord. First of all, the soul of the raid boss monster. I knew it existed, but it was my first time seeing it in person. An object that has never appeared, even though it has been hunted over 1,000 times. A top-tier artifact that allows you to summon Hydreigon with a soul-filled stone. The soul of a raid boss monster is a treasure that appears with the most extreme probability. You can ride it or summon it to help in battle, but due to its scarcity, it wasn't even for sale. Only one thing has come out in the 5 years since its release. Among them, Hydreigon's soul was less than that of other raid boss monsters. Only one came out 3 years ago, even though it was only indirectly mentioned in the community after a photo was taken. He was a player that no one knew, and it was also my first time seeing this character. There were a lot of rumors that he was the operator. In a way, this soul was harder to obtain than a unique item. I'm so moved. Normally, I would have started by posting on the community in taxidermy. The icing on the cake is that you can even strengthen it with hidden characteristics. I felt an electric shock flowing through my whole body. Plus Michaela's sword. Is it not only that? A huge two-handed sword. The knife, which seems to weigh well over 10 kilograms, is shining brightly. Michaela's sword raid set. The sword of Michaela, the giant knight who killed the first Hydreigon. It contains Hydreigon's curse and Michaela's soul. Appropriate stats available, strength 20 or higher. When used by someone who knows honor, Michaela's power, strength +3, is activated. If you collect 3 pieces of Michaela's equipment, you can use Heavenly Dragon Man. There's no better knife than this to get through the early stages. It was a sword that boasted the best cost-effectiveness, especially for those who use swords. This is because weapons that increase ability levels are usually concentrated after the mid-game. There are also set options. Celestial Dragon, which can be used by collecting swords, armor, and helmets, is a transformation skill. The dragon's wings sprout from its back, allowing it to fly in the sky for long periods of time. If you want to jump over a specific section, the Michaela set is a must. In the beginning, what you're looking for is finding stars in the sky. It was the Celestial Dragon who helped me find specific quest sections, hidden dungeons, and hidden quests that required crazy hard work. But this too is like finding stars in the sky. It doesn't activate unless you collect all the swords, armor, and helmets, and the probability of it appearing is extremely low. In particular, Michaela's sword is the most difficult part to obtain. I was lucky, but what are the broken pieces of the Golden Rule? The above 2 were items I was familiar with. But this is my first time seeing that golden coin. Shattered piece of the Golden Rule. A broken piece of the Golden Rule. It enables synchronization between reality and Pangea. Can be turned on off, 24 hours remaining. It can be used at the Golden Rule store. This is my first time seeing this explanation. Even the golden rule and the fact that there is a golden rule store where you can use it. Above all, it is synchronized with reality. Crazy? The Snake Princess frowned upon hearing my words. That means I'm not crazy. Snake Princess Isabella. I quickly pick it up and put it away. Snake Princess Isabella von Dergen. She glanced at me with strange eyes for a moment and said to Chief Beck, "Take it with you." "Yes?" "W. The Queen tells me to kill them all. He is a noble person. You will have to treat it with the utmost respect." Asterisk. Faisalmer, a city in the desert. A world of absolute monarchy ruled by a queen. There, I suddenly became a nobleman and rented out an entire luxurious palace. I never thought the character I raised would become Faisalmer's second-in-command. I was lost in thought while looking outside the palace. What I learned after coming here was that Isabella was also one of the most powerful people in Faisalmer. I was able to notice right away when I saw that even the great warriors treated Isabella with respect. The great warrior of the desert does not follow anyone other than the queen and those whom the queen approves. "Would you like me to wash you?" When I turned around at the sound of a voice coming from behind me, I saw 5 beautiful women standing in a line. A palace given away to do everything as you please. It was a jaunt, and there were a lot of women. There were also a lot of beautiful young women. This was a harem. A sense of realism that cannot be considered part of a game. Even every vein is clearly visible. Every little breath feels so natural. The women are wearing only thin silk, clearly revealing their voluptuous bodies. Even if you have the heart of an iron bloodlord, feeling dizzy is an inevitable male instinct. "Just wash my feet." "Yes." I spoke as emotionlessly as possible. Then the women who had been drinking water in a basin made of clay sat down in front of me. Washing feet. It is a ceremony to accept outsiders in Faisalmer. They don't wash the feet of outsiders who come in. It means that person is a slave. It means that the person being washed is a guest. I was a guest. That is also very important to the Snake Princess. It is Faisalmer's test. Literally, this entire series of situations was a test given by Isabella. Because a awakened person cannot be blinded by sexual desire. He will see my reaction and pass it on as is. However, if you refuse to even wash your feet, you become someone who does not know the etiquette of the desert. Therefore, the correct answer to this test is to wash your feet, but remain calm. Sigh. Soft skin touches your feet with the gentle sound of water. Hands without any excess fat. The texture touches the skin as is. 10 hands are gently warming my feet. It felt like being tickled by thin cotton wool. I try to change my mind. Is there any way to return to reality? I got sucked into it while creating a character. However, even in this world, references to reality were repeated. That means there is a way to go back. The logout function is not visible. I can't force it to end, so wait. A sudden thought occurred to me, and I opened the status window. Level 2. Strength, 24 stamina, 24 dexterity, 24. Intelligence, 24 horsepower, 24. I wrinkled my forehead. The growth in abilities was unusual, but what was more important to watch was the lower part. When first seen, the degree of collapse was 6.12%. However, after completing the main quest, it increased by about 1.5%. If it really gets to 100%, will Earth and Pangenia collide? There was also mention of the Hall of Fame. What was that? That wasn't the only thing I was curious about. But surprisingly, the mystery surrounding the Hall of Fame was quickly solved. As soon as I thought about the related content, a window appeared in front of my eyes. What? Some familiar names. In particular, second place Gracia and third place Mint Chocolate Delicious were colleagues who had been playing Pangenia together for the longest time. At some point, I thought it had suddenly disappeared and folded. He didn't fold, but was summoned to Pangenia like me? My head feels dizzy, as if I've been hit with a blunt object. It wasn't just the characters I created that were here. The people I used to play with are also here. Furthermore, log out. Log out. That means you can go out. In this shitty game. Stop. The women who were washing their feet stopped at my heavy vocalization. Yes? Everyone get out. It's time to communicate with the stars. But there was confusion on the women's faces. Washing feet is a courtesy in Faisalmere. Rejecting it was never a good sign. I know, but I can't help it. If you do not communicate with the stars in time, the awakened person loses his power. Go and ask the Snake Princess if she really wants that. Ah, the women nodded. As expected, they were all spies sent by the Snake Princess. I already knew why the Snake Princess brought me here. I hope you have a comfortable time communicating. The women bowed their heads with serious expressions and left. After, thank God, this lame excuse worked. I was left alone in the room and sat down. Immediately after, I pressed the red button that appeared at the end of my field of vision at 1 o'clock. My vision blinks, and the world has changed. Asterisk. I look down blankly. On the chair in front of the computer, an old white plain short-sleeve t-shirt and black training pants that I bought roughly at the market. Tobacco acid in a plastic bottle. It was the same clothes, same posture, and same environment as before playing the game. Is it a dream? Have you been living like a wasteful person so much that you've even had a dream? But it was too vivid to be a dream. Furthermore, there is no way I could have a golden coin like this. There's something else on the desk. Broken pieces of the golden rule. That brilliant golden coin is in front of me. There was also a small leather pouch next to it. Additionally, the word login was clearly engraved in red in place of the logout button, which was out of sight. I slowly searched through the leather pouch. Then 2 items came out. Huong. Thud. A huge sword. The mouth of the pouch expanded and spit out a sword. When I placed it on the floor, the house shook with a thud. No matter how you look at it, it is Michaela's sword. In addition, there was even an artifact with runes drawn on a small stone, the soul of Hydragon. What about games? The game window was closed. No, the game was completely deleted. I picked up the mouse and turned on the internet. Next, search for Pangenia and access the site. This homepage does not exist. The homepage was blown up. The homepage was fine until just a moment ago. I looked for related articles just in case. However, there is not a single line in the common news article that the service has ended. Even when I searched on YouTube, only videos from at least 2 years ago were uploaded. When on earth did the service end? The fact that YouTube videos remain is evidence that the service was working. It's not that the game itself didn't exist. It's clear that people logged on and played the game. However, at some point, the uploaded videos and the players playing the game disappeared. Good night. This is all good. The question was, if I was summoned to Pangenia, would there be someone like me who logged out? And if anyone logs out, they will definitely be able to find traces. Only people within the rankings can log out. But what if that number is limited? What if there are very few? What if many people are still trapped in the game? There was a high possibility that the remaining information was small or non-existent. If I had known this would happen, I would have at least exchanged SNS. I was strictly a solo player. Even during raids, I solved it on my own. So, although I exchanged greetings with other people, I never played properly with them. Of course, there was no email or messenger exchange at all. Damn mysticism. I pounded on the keyboard, cursing my past self who thought that was cool. Vegetative state. List of missing persons. Your fingers become faster. The number of people in vegetative states and missing people has increased explosively in recent years. There was a lot of debate about this phenomenon. Maybe it's a phenomenon related to Pangenia. Kurung. It was then. The floor began to shake with a vibration that made my body slightly float. It's a monster. Help me. At the same time, it became noisy outside. Monster? What kind of monster suddenly? I raised the curtains and opened the window. The situation outside, as the thick cigarette smoke escaped, was the worst. An enormous praying mantis that seemed to be 4 meters tall had appeared in the city and was committing massacres. It snatches people with its long, tentacle-like antennae and cuts down anything in its path with its blade-like front legs. I unconsciously opened my mouth at the strangely familiar appearance. Giant mantis? Chapter 5. Massacre. There is no way to be mistaken. It's not so bad that it confuses dreams and reality. It's real. The Pangenian monster has truly appeared in reality. Bang! Tang! Police officers from the police station right in front jumped out and responded with pistol fire, but it had no effect. It fell prey to the giant mantis without even making a scratch on its hard skin. Save me, evil. Emergencies. Emergencies. Police officers confronting each other with radio calls. Most ordinary citizens were running away, but there were many who were not. I'm just stamping my feet inside the building and watching the situation. Some people were taking photos or videos without realizing the seriousness of the incident. Thine dash. The air raid warning began to sound, raising the decibel level. The same was true for cell phones. Similar to a disaster situation, content appear on the screen while making a loud noise. An unknown attack occurred at 1432. All over Seoul, Busan, Daegu, and Gyeonggi-do. Asterisk evacuate to a nearby underground evacuation facility and listen to the broadcast. This means that it didn't just happen here. Attacks began simultaneously throughout Korea from an unidentified creature. But I know what that is. A field boss monster that you will definitely encounter when playing Pangea. For LV Giant Mantis. It's hard to not recognize it when you look at its attacks using its unique antennae and the bright red flowers on its back. What should I do? I felt like my heart was going to explode. In the game, I am a flexible and capable all-rounder, but in reality, I am just an ordinary citizen. To have a headache. My heartbeat was getting faster and faster. Mom. I came to my senses when I heard the child crying. I immediately turned my head. All the rewards obtained from Pangea have been brought to reality. If the monsters in the game roam around reality, wouldn't it be possible to use the things obtained in the game in reality as well? Hydragon's soul. I held a stone with runes engraved on it. Hydragon. It is a monster that cannot be compared to the field boss Giant Mantis. I figured it out easily because I knew the strategy, but it was originally an ordeal that would have had to be conquered by 12 people. Swish, swish. Why can't I do this? I frowned. All you have to do is double-click in the game. Then, the character takes out a stone and pretends to clean it with his hand, completing the summoning. I tried cleaning it hard, but it didn't work. I looked away again. A broken piece of the golden rule. It was said that it synchronizes reality and the game, holding it as if snatching the golden rule coin. In an instant, a goddess appeared before my eyes. Twin goddesses of Pangea. When she logged in, she kissed my cheek, making me feel like the goddess I had always seen her be. The sound of my heart, that felt like it was about to explode, subsided. The tremors of my body and my complicated mind were cleared up. I spread my hands. Thick hands. I become Randolph. I picked up Michaela's sword. Her thick, two-handed greatsword was wrapped nicely. She held Hydragon's soul. Just go straight to the window. Chin. I stepped on the window frame and jumped to the ground. Old-fashioned 5-story villa. It was high enough to kill an ordinary person instantly, but he didn't care. Floating in the air, I felt the resistance of the air and rubbed Hydragon's soul. Go. Hydragon's adult body was summoned to the main street. I rode on Hydragon's back and advanced towards Mantis. Scoop. Intern reporter Hannah Kim recalled the scoop at the moment of the monster's attack. A huge mantis has attacked the city center. If you capture this moment properly, this year's Pulitzer is a sure bet. Click. Click. After getting as close as possible, I picked up my phone and took a picture. Oh my God. It was not a movie prop or CG, but a realistic monster. Scoop. The boring internship life is now over. As soon as I thought so. Mom. Not far away, a child who looked to be about 5 years old was crying sadly. Shopping basket. A woman trapped in the rubble of a building. The giant mantis looked away. I felt all the arrogance emotions. Should we film this cruel monster destroying a family? Is that the true journalistic spirit that your seniors are talking about? Damn it. Kim Hannah threw down her shoes and ran, gritting her teeth. On the way back from a blind date at the request of a friend, I wondered if this was something crazy, but I didn't have time to think about it one by one. Kim Hannah jumped in almost like a bungee and wrapped her arms around the child. Are you okay? Are you okay? Mom. Lady. My child. The woman trapped in the rubble finally came to her senses and opened her mouth. A mother's words to save her child. Those who will live must live. But there was something Kim Hannah also overlooked. It turned out that the monster's antennae were faster than expected. Kim Hannah turned her head to see the approaching tentacle and pushed the child to the side. For a moment, I felt like my body was flying. Soon, the face of a huge praying mantis appeared before her eyes. A flash of light passed through my mind. This is how you die. I'm leaving without even having a proper relationship at this young age. The young director of our hospital. I begged you so much to let me meet you once. Can you please meet me just once, Hanaya? He's a really nice person. When I was a college student, I heard you were the school's representative king, and you were very handsome, right? He's tall and has a great face. Will you regret missing this opportunity? Should I have gone on a blind date? According to my friend, he was a nice person, but I didn't really have any intention of dating in the first place, so I just planned to spend some time and then come back. Why'd it happen like this? Kim Hannah closed her eyes tightly. This is because she did not have the courage to face the giant praying mantis's mouth and its numerous protruding teeth. Sigh. It was that moment. I felt like my body was floating again, and I felt someone's body temperature. Let's open our eyes slightly. Who dash? A man with a wild side. He dropped Kim Hannah as if he was throwing it away. With the sound of "Eyak," Kim Hannah climbed onto the back of an unknown monster. What is it? Wasn't there just one monster? Is this a dragon? But for a dragon, he has a lot of brains. A monster of monsters with 9 heads, incomparable to something like a giant praying mantis. Hiccup, hold on tight. It's Korean. Kim Hannah strongly grabbed the monster's back. A man holding a huge great sword jumped up. Kak! The 9-headed dragon started biting the mantis like crazy. A huge mantis screams and howls. The scene was like a scene from a legend or myth. Kim Hannah watched quietly, mesmerized. Every time the man swung the great sword like a toy, green blood poured out like a waterfall. The praying mantis, which had been bitten by 9 heads, could not even move. Violence. Kim Hannah has never seen such a cruel and gruesome scene of violence in her life. The level felt by her movies and dramas was like her children's pranks. Is this what heroes in mythology look like? It was a raw, wild beauty that I had never felt before. Hannah Kim was struck by that overwhelming sight. I was thrilled. My body trembled, not because I was afraid, but because of the encounter with an inexplicable, indescribable being. Thud. In the end, the giant mantis fell without even a single proper resistance. His claws and head were cut off, his eyes unfocused. Then the mantis corpse disappears like dust. It turned gray and soon disappeared. The same was true for the 9-headed dragon. Kim Hannah started to fall down. Save me. I waved my hands and feet left and right, and before I knew it, I was being hugged by someone again. A man who killed a monster. He picked up Hannah Kim as she fell to the ground and made her land safely. Okay, thank you. The two eyes met. The man turned his back without saying anything. Kim Hannah picked up her cell phone as she watched the man walking away. Click. Immediately afterwards, Kim Hannah turned her head as if she realized something. Before we knew it, people were working together to pull out the child's mother who was trapped in the rubble of the building. Kim Hannah also rushed out and joined forces in lifting the rubble. The world was in chaos. Monsters that appeared simultaneously not only in Korea, but all over the world. As soon as monsters appeared, they killed people and destroyed human civilization. But it wasn't just monsters that appeared. Warriors who cut down monsters that even guns cannot use. They wore armor, swords, spears, and bows similar to those used in the Middle Ages and brutally slaughtered monsters. Do not worry. I will keep you safe. A world of monsters will arrive. We must all work together. Some of them spoke in their own language and talked about people's safety. What was even more surprising was the transformation they did. They who existed in the form of warriors returned as ordinary people and poured out words like this. Of course, not everyone was like that. At most, the holding time is about an hour. I guess everyone wants to save time. A man muttered while looking at the flood of articles and videos. The warriors who have appeared now are all rankers who can log out. When you reach the ranking for each main quest, you can log out. because we need to save the remaining time of the broken pieces of the Golden Rule as much as possible. However, the broken piece of the Golden Rule that synchronizes the characters with reality is a consumable item. If it's short, it lasts for about a minute, and if it's long, it lasts for about an hour. As a result, almost no one uses synchronization in reality. The same was true for men. There are a total of 8 known people in Korea who can currently log out. Among them, the man was a strong man with a rancor character called Sassel. In order to monitor the situation, Slaughter took a step back from this incident. If the appearance of Pangenia's characters became known, there was a high possibility that both the game and reality would be threatened. That's because Slaughter was an unmannered player that everyone recognized. By the way, Slaughter stroked his chin. I thought a phantom would appear. No one looks like a phantom. Phantom, or ghost. Pangenia's undisputed #1 player. No one knows the name, so everyone calls it that. Predictions were that it had hundreds of characters, and speculation was rampant that the one who recently carried out the great expedition to the demon world was Phantom. However, the expedition failed due to all kinds of sabotage, and the Phantom also died and his character was deleted. Is Phantom the real operator? He was still playing the game. Slaughter was also a pure game player. However, 2 years ago, the Massacre character died and was summoned to Pangenia. So did other people. Only the Phantom, or the one presumed to be the Phantom, continued to play the game. All kinds of people went looking for the Phantom to find out the cause. If it appears to be a Phantom, the character is deleted after first interfering with it or betraying it and killing it. This is because other people are usually summoned to Pangina when their characters are deleted. No, I'm sure he was summoned as that character. When the strongest character you have dies, it is summoned. A 5-star character equipped with 8 unique pieces of equipment and armed with all kinds of treasures and talents. It was a wall that could not be overcome as it had passed level 10 and received 5 stars. It would definitely have been the strongest character Phantom possessed. If it wasn't for the operator, he would definitely have been summoned. And although it is reset when summoned to Pangenia, you can only inherit the talents of the strongest character. Although his appearance changed, and he became like an NPC, all contact with other people disappeared, but he had the opportunity to become stronger by completing the main quest. Randolph, is this guy Phantom? Since being summoned 2 years ago, Slaughter has been ranked high on numerous main quests. Slaughter is level 10. Like other rankers, he is a ranker with hidden characteristics. However, there's been a recent change in the rankings, which have barely changed. That too in the first main quest, Survival. 220 points. Is that a possible number? Even if I went back 2 years and did it again, I wasn't confident I could score 220 points. If something like this is possible, it's definitely a Phantom. Since all the rankers like him would have checked, it was only a matter of time before he became a target. Eliminate competitors. Also, if you are a Phantom, you'll be able to obtain a huge amount of fragments of the broken Golden Rule the moment you kill it. It has been confirmed that reality and Pangenia are being infiltrated in earnest. The competition to obtain a piece of the Golden Rule will also be in full swing. In the future, Pangenia and reality could become one. NPCs from Pangenia appear in reality, or the devil really descends. You have to settle in before that. It was obvious that from now on, those who are stronger and those who possess more pieces of the Golden Rule will become the leading figures of this era. Hydagon, who is this? Meanwhile, Slaughter frowned when he saw a video. Hydragon, a warrior who appears with a monster that has never been officially released, or rather has only been released. It's definitely the first time I've seen it. Slaughter caught the warrior's appearance in his eyes. In addition, other warrior characters that appeared in Korea were also noticed. Everyone is a competitor, because in the era of chaos that will unfold in the future, the leading role must be yourself. Do you want me to let you into the sanctuary? Are you crazy? Snake Princess Isabella was astonished. It's none other than my request. A sanctuary in the desert. Please let me in there. If the first main quest is survival, but I had to go to the sanctuary. The second main quest is to obtain a class. Class. This is because there is a way to become stronger as you progress through the main quest. That's not all. There is a star there. What? Isabella's eyes trembled. Star. You might be surprised that there is a way to receive the star's blessing. I gave up on a while ago, but it was something I learned while playing recently. There is a star in the desert sanctuary. There is a way to break the queen's curse. However, it was hidden. A star that is in the lowest place, but can shine brighter than any other star. And the class I wanted could also be obtained from that star. Chapter 6. Main Quest 2. There wasn't even a slight movement? Yes. After receiving the women's reports, Isabella sat on a chair made of lion skin and rubbed her chin. The beautiful women, to whom men could not help but react, were made to wash their feet. It was the best treatment in the desert city of Faisalmere, and at the same time, it was a trap to watch for awakened people. And even if you're not a man, you cannot escape this trap. This is because they are thoroughly trained to detect changes in heart rate and even slight tremors in the skin. Regardless of age or gender, when they touch you, you have no choice but to react sincerely. But there was no movement at all. Although it was embarrassing, a smile bloomed on Isabella's lips. It is an immovable mind that cannot be shaken. It's just as I heard. Isabella also heard and searched for many rumors and stories about the awakened person. The most basic of these is steadfastness. The enlightened person who dedicated everything to the stars said that he was not swayed by any temptation in this world. Is there anything else to report? The 5 women opened their mouths one after another. I asked you to wash your feet from the beginning. He is someone who knows the manners of Faisalmere. There was no hesitation in entering the palace and climbing up. I was calm even when I saw the monster bones hanging on the wall. Rather than being surprised, I was impressed by the footwork and taxidermy skills. The skin was as soft as silk, but the muscles were elastic like those of a wild horse. It seemed that communication with the stars was more important than anything else. Isabella nodded at the women's honest impressions and reports. There was nothing out of the ordinary. First of all, he is someone who knows the manners of Faisalmere. Anyone who claims to know enough to wash their feet means that he or she has visited Faisalmere in the past. Also, slaves and commoners tend to be overwhelmed by the appearance of the palace. If he moved without hesitation even after entering the room, his status was unusual. Nobility or royalty, confident attitude and tone of voice. The way he refutes himself without being shaken, even when he looks at himself, certainly reminds me of a nobleman or royal family. It is said that the awakened ones were born from the stars, but they are ultimately children of humans. As long as you're a person's child, there are bound to be nobles. If you can recognize the skeleton and taxidermy skills, your professional knowledge is also extensive. To be able to access that level of knowledge, you would probably need a certain level of status. The skin is as fine as silk, and the muscles are like those of a wild horse. It's contradictory, but because he is an awakened person, everything is explained. Awakened person, it's truly a magical word, because there are no enlightened people in the desert. A person whose true identity no one knows has appeared here. No matter what they say, they have no choice but to believe it. Isabella said after gathering her thoughts. Did you say you were communicating with the stars? Yes. I have to see for myself. But if you don't communicate, you will lose your status as an awakened person. Isabella chuckled. You guys can't have a conversation just because there's one more person? The women closed their mouths. Conversation does not become impossible as soon as there is one more person next to you. If you want a quiet conversation, just watch quietly. A conversation just between the two of us. Isabella can't hear the stars' voices anyway. If only the two of them were already communicating, what would be a hindrance if Isabella was next to them? Isabella stood up, and then he walked quickly towards the enlightened person. If I had been a little later, I would have been in big trouble. Isabella von Dergen. When I opened her eyes, she was clearly looking at me. I was glad I connected as quickly as possible. After sorting out what happened in real life, I logged back into Pangenia. Calmer reason and cool-headed judgment led me here. A monster and summoned players appeared in reality. That too is a character from Pangenia. there is a high possibility that they are the reason why this great expedition failed. In this game called Pangea, the difficulty increases exponentially at some point. This is because an NPC you got along well with suddenly betrays you, and a colleague suddenly turns into a sharp robber. Even after considering all the possibilities, I have been hindered in more ways than one. The same goes for this expedition. But what if the disturbing elements were all players? Of course, not all. But what if there are a significant number of trollers? If someone who doesn't want the ending or thinks of me as a competitor has been intentionally interfering, you have to cut it all up. Unity? Amity? I have already crossed the impassable river. Hundreds of characters have been deleted due to such interference. Even the strongest character that contained all my essence died and was deleted. Suddenly, I remembered what the soldier said when I was first summoned here. Fuck. If it weren't for the infighting, the expedition would have been successful. There's an inside story I don't know. I even faced the Demon King alone, but at some point, I became one of the 8 heroes. It means that there is a speaker who can manipulate such an achievement. The speaker may be an individual or a group. No, it would be a group. There's a group of players who intentionally sabotage and kill characters they suspect are me. And they even fabricated rumors about me and settled them in Pangea. 8. A warrior. It is clear that I intentionally damaged the superiority and uniqueness of my last deceased character. So what I need to do is first get stronger quickly. This is to ensure the safety of both the game and reality. To do that, no one can enter the sacred place. You can go in. I needed her. Isabella von Dergen, an unfortunate character that I created, but gave up and abandoned. I had never been like that, but before I knew it, I was called the Snake Princess and became Phaselmer's second-in-command. That's not even the nickname I created myself. Asuka Kurura. I somehow felt sorry. However, in Pangea, nicknames were treated as pseudonyms. The real name and entity already exist, and the player possesses that body. Anyway, if you're caught secretly taking someone, this is your last chance to leave the desert. Think carefully before answering. Isabella's eyes shook. How did you know that I wanted to leave the desert? The stars told me. I guess I have nothing to say. Of course, there is no setting that Isabella wants to leave the desert. There is no way such a setting exists. But Isabella was the player's character, a being that has to travel all over the world and see the ending. If that were the case, how frustrating would it be to be chained to the desert due to a curse? Actually, I did that, so I gave up. It was the 4th star I got, and I discovered it when I was raising my previous character. The supreme star hidden in the sacred place of the desert. Of all the players, only I know that location. By far, that star is special. If you can get it, it's best to get it as quickly as possible. The Holy Land kills unauthorized people. You don't have to worry about that part at all. This is a place that has already come to an end once. The traps that exist there have already been figured out. Among my hidden traits, there were quite a few that worked in Sanctuary. Isabella rolled her eyes after hearing the answer. This morning, when the moon begins to set, stay awake. Eventually, she made an expressionless face and poofed. She turned and left. At dawn, basement of the royal palace. I quickly ran along the hidden path, following Isabella. Isabella took care of the soldiers she saw in between. Even when I saw it, it felt refreshing in my hands. He attacked and killed the soldiers without hesitation. Isabella had a specialized talent for assassination. She was so agile that most soldiers would close their eyes without even realizing that she was dying. There are no ghosts. My throat felt cold. If Isabella had tried to kill me from the beginning, she would no longer be a person of this world by now. Not only me, but most of the so-called strong beings will meet the same end. Being an ally couldn't be more reassuring than this. As I ran without hesitation, a huge altar appeared. Moai statues were lined up in a row, centered on the stairs leading to the basement. This is a holy place. What should I do? The look in his eyes asks. It looks like he himself doesn't feel like it. This is because the sacred place in the desert is so complicated and dizzy. But I can't go back. I crossed the river too far for that. What could be the reason why Isabella killed all the soldiers? Destruction of evidence. He is determined not to let anyone know that he has trespassed into the sanctuary, even if possible. The moment I say I'm going back, I'll cut off my head without delay. I'll go in first. I shrugged my shoulders and entered the stairs leading to the basement of the altar. Then, numerous words appeared before my eyes. I have entered the hidden desert sanctuary. Subquest: explore the sanctuary. Rewards can be obtained depending on the exploration rate. Caution: it does not reach the recommended level 8 for sanctuary exploration. Caution: it is overflowing with poison and demonic energy. If your drag is low, we recommend not entering. Protected by the hidden characteristic Giant's anti-magic power. Hidden trait mutation is applied. Hidden sanctuary. Originally, a level 2 beginner could not enter. It was a place that could only be reached by receiving permission from the queen or defeating powerful warriors. Through a trick, I entered that place with Isabella at the head. The rewards that could be obtained through exploring the sanctuary were quite generous. But that's not all. What I was aiming for from the beginning was not a side quest. Main quest 2, obtaining a class, has begun. You can acquire classes in the sanctuary. This quest ends the moment you obtain the class. Compensation, paid differentially depending on the level of class obtained. The second main quest. Payment is differentiated depending on grade. When I saw the conditions, I couldn't help but smile. It is the way of the world that the strong monopolize everything. There is no place where those conditions are more certain than in Pangea. However, it was subtly different from the first main quest. To get a good class, you have to have some luck. Because not everyone can have an excellent class just because they are skilled. But there was no worry. I guess I'll be first this time too. Because I have skill, luck, and a hidden trait that encompasses both. One of the 13 hidden traits, mutation. I can see a hidden path. Characteristics that allow humans to see places that cannot be seen with the human I began to appear. Chapter 7. Sight of an old king. Talents, acquired skills, abilities, various equipment, talisman that can engrave special options on equipment, etc. There are many types of abilities that allow you to find the hidden things of Pangea. Literally find hidden paths, find hidden options for items, or find out the hidden secrets of seals. However, I dare say that such a helpful type of ability cannot be compared to this one hidden trait. Just a mutation. It is one of the 13 hidden characteristics I have, and an ability that is like the power to uncover all hidden secrets. C. Hidden path. An external pipe designed to be invisible to the human eye. Whoa! There was a long bridge connecting the sanctuary on the cliff. A strong wind is also blowing that is sucking the cliff down. It was structured so that if you didn't concentrate and walk on the narrow bridge, you would fall down the cliff. W, what are you doing now? As I jump high on a certain area next to the bridge, Isabella burst into laughter. She probably looked like someone trying to commit suicide. But the flagship disappeared in an instant. Follow me carefully. Did the stars tell you that there was such a way? You are asking the obvious. Isabella looked at me with strange eyes. In the sanctuary, small invisible blocks of land were floating in the air here and there. It is narrow enough for one adult to climb at most. If I didn't step on it properly, I would fall to my death, but I could see it so clearly. It can't be compared to search skills or anything like that. When I came here as my previous character, I was equipped with all kinds of tools and skills. For example, even the exploration skill visit, which I had surpassed when I reached skill level 10, could not tell me the hidden path as clearly as it was unfolding before my eyes right now. It's just an explanation that there is land there, but there's no need to explain the difference between reading it in writing and seeing it with your own eyes. The downdraft is so strong that flying with wings is useless. There is a deep-sea fish at the bottom, so the moment you get sucked in, you will die no matter what level you are. Only land. You can survive only by stepping on the ground. Is 100% search rate possible? Even if it is a side quest, it is a search for a sanctuary. When I came in before, I reached the end, but the search rate stopped at 97%, because what I received at 97% was the special item Glory of the Horn. If you reach 100%, you may be given an epic level treasure. I jump one more step and turn my head. What are you doing? Isabella did not run, but hesitated. She looked at me with a strange face. I got a cramp in my leg. I was dumbfounded for a moment. Whenever he attacks soldiers and flies around like a fish out of water, there was no sound of a dog eating grass. Strength control is essential when running. If you do something wrong, you will be swept away by the downdraft. So be careful. It's not a wide gap, but the problem is the downdraft. The wind was so strong that if you made a mistake, you could have been swept away. No matter how high level and agile Isabella is, death is certain at that moment. There's an invisible path in the sanctuary. Run quickly. I don't have time. Can I really receive the blessing of the stars if I go here? Look at this guy. Are you scared? That can't be possible. He's trying hard to snort, but I can see it. Isabella's moist eyes were trembling vigorously in the pitch-black darkness. Was it that kind of character? If you have risen to Faisalmer's second-in-command, you must build a wall against fear. Only when she catches the queen's eye and is recognized by the elders does she become eligible to be called a princess. A truly iron-blooded woman. Snake Princess Isabella had that kind of impression. He laughed and teased. You're more scared than I thought. I do not know the word fear. I really just had a cramp in my leg. Isabella pretended to untie her legs and ran. Isabella, who landed on the first block, looked at me proudly. See, what is fear? It felt like I was saying that. But never look down. You probably have a fear of heights, right? Good job. How many are left? After calculating the vaguely visible blocks, he told me. It's only about 70 blocks away. 70? No, is it 80? It could be 90. Isabella's eyebrows began to flutter. Asterisk. How is it okay? Awaken Randolph. He was a strange and miraculous person. The miasma and demonic energy of the sanctuary eat away at life. It is only possible to enter if you are selected and blessed or have the physical ability to overcome him. However, Randolph was freely roaming the sanctuary without any special equipment or blessings. She was in a place where even Isabella found it difficult to breathe. They even leisurely avoided the traps coming from all directions, as if they could see a hidden path that had not been revealed for thousands of years, or were aware of them. How could I take a path I didn't even know about? As Faisalmer's second-in-command, he was moving forward without hesitation on a path that he did not know about, and perhaps even the priest of the sanctuary. Most of them were not even visible, and it was a single path where everyone would die if they took even one wrong step. It was a job that required extreme concentration because the path Randolph took had to be followed only by memory and senses. But it was a strange feeling. This situation where you are chasing after someone. Have you ever chased after someone so desperately? There was none. Absolutely never. She was a leading figure. She is an absolute powerhouse who only looks ahead and runs forward, positioned in a position where no one should be in front of her. It's all to lift the curse. She ran like crazy, believing only the queen's words that she would lift the curse if she took the princess's place. But the queen did not keep her promise. Relax. On the count of 3, you run. I will accept it. If we went down the cliff through an invisible path, this time we went up. Likewise, you had to follow the transparent stairs to reach the ceiling. This is what Randolph said as the speed slowed down. Isabella shook her head. Go first. I will follow you slowly. You can't do that. Isabella closed her mouth. That attitude, those eyes. I wasn't used to it. It was an affectionate gesture, as if he had known me for a long time. Why? I was about to ask him why he was looking at me like that, but he closed his mouth again. Instead, he said something else. Have we met before? We have never met in the same space. What does that mean? It means I have seen you, but you have never seen me. If someone else had told me this, I would have cracked their brains to see what they were thinking. But the opponent was an enlightened person. Are you saying the stars showed me? Let's just say it's similar. Come on, let's go. We must arrive before dawn. When dawn comes, the deaths of the warriors will also be known. Isabella's absence from her presence will draw suspicion, and it will not be long before a party is formed in pursuit of the queen. If the sanctuary is sealed off, there will be no way out. 1, 2. The moment Randolph shouted 3, Isabella jumped into his arms without realizing it. As soon as I could barely climb onto the narrow tile, I could almost feel my breathing. Just get on your back. That would be faster. That is also true. If he had been carried on his back right away, he would have already reached the ceiling. When I got to this point, I couldn't be more stubborn. The problem was that Isabella had never ridden on a man's back in her life. When a woman climbs on a man's back in the desert, it signifies a special relationship. Even though I would rather die, I would never have to ride on the back of a stranger. Isabella bit her lip and hoisted herself on Randolph's back. And then he bowed his head. Eventually, when I reached the ceiling, the world turned upside down. Area barrier. Another area where a barrier is placed across the entire area and only appears to those who follow a set path. I never thought something like that would be in the sanctuary. Flower garden. And there was a hill. Kurung. Rumbling. At that moment, what I thought was a hill began to shake and rise. Golem. Golem's century. Judging by the size of the rune engraved on the chest, it is the minimum level. Now was his turn. Srung. Isabella got down from the back and took out a dagger in both hands. Asterisk. I nodded as I watched the golem being disposed of. Is this what automatic hunting feels like? If an enemy appeared, Isabella would take care of it herself without having to say anything. Even golems that were difficult to oppose at my level were like soft tofu in front of Isabella. Isabella, who destroyed the core in an instant, put the dagger back. It was that moment. You can obtain the Golem Creator class. Would you like to acquire it? I knew it. A hidden dungeon in the sanctuary. Originally, this was a place where you could acquire skills. If I had a class, I would probably have acquired a skill like Golem Destruction. However, since there was no class, the class of Golem Maker was acquired instead of a skill. I honestly don't know if this was what the creator intended. To overcome the toxicity of the sanctuary in the first place, you had to be at least level 7. There's no case where there is no class at level 7. And even if you solve it with hidden characteristics like me, you have to find a hidden path and hunt the golem, which is not as easy as it sounds. I refuse. I refuse to acquire the Golem Maker class. Golem Maker, in terms of class, is an advanced class. In Pangea, classes that summon something or fight together are rare. But it's not the class I want. You can't be ranked first in Hall of Fame at this level. I'm treating it as if I hunted what Isabella hunted. However, there was something puzzling. Although Pangea has a party system, everything is divided according to contribution. If it is a skill or class, it can only be obtained by hunting with high contribution. So, I plan to contribute at least a little by launching a final attack. If you repeat that about 100 times, you will get it once. But succeeded at once. Even though I didn't contribute at all. Have we suddenly entered a party state? There was no change when Isabella killed the warriors outside, or when Isabella dealt with the minor monsters within the sanctuary. But suddenly this change occurred. I don't know why, but I thought good things were good things. You can obtain the Demon Hunter class. You can obtain the Rune Warrior class. You can obtain the Hunger Spearman class. The voices and phrases of the system that are heard every time the hunt continues. I reject it completely. It's excellent enough, but it's also not the class I'm looking for. After walking for a long time, we finally arrived at the huge mountain. Arrived at the mountain where the nameless star is buried. Caution. It falls far short of the recommended level, 10. The owner of the mountain, the Old King, is angry at the intruders. Asterisk. The owner of a huge mountain. You must be at least level 10 to kill that titan. But in the past, I did not kill the Old King, because there was no need to kill him. This is because the Old King recognized the difference in rank and did not attack. At that time, I was a transcendental person who achieved 3 stars and could far surpass the kings of old. Now that I'm weak, it's okay. Wasn't a helper NPC? Honestly, at the time, I thought it was a friendly helper NPC that showed the way to the star. It was just that they were strong against the weak and weak against the strong. Did you dare to think that you could live in the Old King's place? A voice echoing throughout the mountain. A body that sparkles like a jewel. An enormous obsidian snake. Isabella's body stiffened in front of the giant. Level 10 is the level just before the transcendental level. Although Isabella's level is 8, the number 10 is like a wall that cannot be overcome. Moreover, the howling coming from the snake made it look like a dragon. Shaking, Isabella trembled. She knew she would die if she stayed still, but she couldn't move. Just like prey facing the top pyramid predator. TSK. I clicked my tongue and moved forward. Then Isabella's eyes opened wide. No human being can move carelessly within the absolute realm of the old king. But he was definitely moving. Get out of the way. You're not qualified to guard that place. Humans are talking nonsense. If I don't protect this place, who has the right to do so? The old king stuck out his tongue. It was coming towards me as if I was going to swallow it in one bite. Wilhelm. But before he even got closer, the old king stiffened. What is that name? How do you know its name? Isn't the true owner of the mountain not you, but Wilhelm? That's because I'm Wilhelm. Although dead and erased, the owner of this mountain was not the old king, but me. The old king gave it to me, and I became the owner of the star. Therefore, the illegal intruder was that guy, not me. I don't know how you know that name, but he died and the star fell. The same goes for this mountain. The old king, now free, opened his mouth wide. Then it's about to attack me. Your master has returned, the old king, Dramit. Crumbling. The guy suddenly changed direction, and his head was dragged on the floor. Chapter 8. Get a star. The old king, Dramit. He is a mountain ranger who protects the stars, and a giant god with a large body. The origin of Dramit was that it was a spirit creature whose body grew larger and gained wisdom due to the energy of the stars. Name. The true name is also inherited from the star. Of course, it is normal for no one except the stars to know. Only those who possessed the star and became its master could know its true name. Wilhelm. Numan was the strongest character. Where did you hear my true name? Did Wilhelm tell you this? Dramit stood up after shaking his head and asked in confusion. You idiot. Have you even forgotten what the contract says? However, Jin Myung's mention is bound by contract. This means that it is impossible to reveal it to others. Of course, now that I am not bound by that contract, I can unleash it to my heart's content. Really, it's real. Dramit's scales rang. The mountain ranger knew how to distinguish between truth and lies. If it's a lie, you can freely break the contract, go on a rampage, and eat that person. But it was true. There wasn't a single lie, even saying that the owner has returned. A person I've never met knows my true name and the details of my contract. He even mentioned Wilhelm's name. Unwritten rules of contract. The moment you mention even the slightest bit of information to others, the subject dies and the contract is canceled. Moreover, Wilhelm is a 5-star transcendent. There is no reason for the main character, who is so proud of every word and every gesture, to break a contract and reveal a secret to someone. If it was destroyed that way, there's no way Dramit wouldn't know. But Wilhelm is dead, because the stars have fallen. However, even if the person under the contract died, the contract was bound to be canceled. Wilhelm is dead. All 5 stars fell. It means that he died completely flawless, and that all the chains that were tied to him were lifted. Of course, the contract between Dramit and that human has not been concluded at this time. Even if you know your true name, you're just a little surprised. Lead the way. The stars will prove me. How can you be so proud of a human subject who is so fragile that you can swallow it in one gulp and not even notice it? And what? Do the stars prove it? You bastard got a star? If you go near a star, you will burn up. Dramit sneered. Lack. That person fell far short of the standard for eating stars. Dramit is a being that protects the stars. You can instinctively recognize the appropriate level for a star. However, let alone meeting the standards, that person did not even have a foundation. I don't know how it is that he is not affected by his divine power. You're probably receiving help from special equipment or tools. Aren't you mistaken that the female human next to you is challenging you? The female human next to me is better. Of course, it's still not enough. He said that whoever would eat the star had to be a power equal to or surpassing him. It will burn up before it even gets close to the star. The stars were infinitely generous to those who met the standards, but had not the slightest mercy for those who did not. I challenge you. Challenge? How dare you? Kaha! Dramit twisted his body and laughed. He couldn't help but laugh. After rolling around and laughing for a while, Dramit finally came to his senses. It's been hundreds of years since I laughed like this. It would be much better for it to be burned up in a star than for me to deal with it. It was better. A strange guy who even knows his true name, and Wilhelm. It's very uncomfortable, but the stars will take care of it. No matter how special and specialized the equipment or tools are, they're useless in front of the stars. Because the stars only look at the abilities that the subject has. Good night. Follow me, little one. Sigh. Dramit willingly began leading the way to the star. Star. It is the cornerstone of boundaries necessary to achieve the transcendence of cognition by surpassing the specifications of species. To be more precise, it was a corpse. We called the torn body of the dead twin goddess Leah a star. There were a total of 32 stars on the continent of Pangenia. If you look at that part, it looks like this. 10 fingers, 2 total from the back of the hand to the shoulder, 1 torso, 1 head, 2 eyeballs, 1 nose, 1 lower tract including the mouth, 2 ears, 1 neck, 1 lower body, and 10 toes. 32 types of body parts of Goddess Leah. Only if you have that star and pass the test can you finally transcend. Naturally, the transcendence given to each part is subtly different. And here, on the mountain buried with nameless stars, the body parts of Goddess Leah are Tadzesta. Isabella was shocked. She was so shocked as she looked at the star on the altar that her eyes seemed to pop out. That has to be the case. She had heard stories about stars, but this was her first time seeing them in real life. No, when talking about the awakened person and the star, there was no mention anywhere of it being a corpse. Is that a skeleton? A skull with its lower abdomen cut off. Say hello. It is the face of the goddess Leah. Stumbling. Isabella's knees went weak. Maybe it was because I was so surprised, but strange phenomena tend to happen in front of stars. Don't come any closer than this. It's dangerous. Dramit is also just watching from afar. It seems like they are anticipating how I will die. I walked away, holding Isabella back. From here on, it was half and half. This sky island, hidden in the sanctuary, allows you to obtain skills and classes in all areas. Then even these mountains and stars would be the same. Before, I already had a class, so I ended up just getting stars and transcending. A letter comes to mind. It feels like I'm hearing words, but there was a lot of noise. It is not a proper communication process, but I felt like I knew who was giving me this message. This is the dead twin goddess Leah. Her words became her star and were scattered across the continent. Nothingness. As I took one more step, I heard a more distinct voice. With each move, speech sounds continued to be added. Dexterity, all master, weapon master, giant's anti-magic power, druid's nature affinity, heart of the iron blood lord, beast lord, heaven, golden grace, mutant, glutton, great sage. My 13 hidden characteristics. The goddess read them. And, you who face destruction. I slowly lifted the goddess's skull and the star with both hands. Ha ha ha. At that moment, a bunch of brilliant light from the star began to pour into my body. Phrases that constantly come to mind. The amount was so vast that it could not even be seen at a glance. The constellations of Baekseonjin. I was already shocked to hear that they were paying attention to me. This is because arrogant people rarely pay attention to beginners who have just started walking. Even when playing as Wilhelm, I barely started paying attention once I got 3 stars. Is it thanks to the air of the stars? That's my first class. Of course, there is no harm in receiving a lot of attention from the constellations of Baekseonjin. This is because they upgrade the rewards further. I paid more attention to the details of compensation that would follow. And after reading all the sentences related to compensation, I couldn't help but say one word. That's bullshit. Chapter 9. Hall of Fame. The result of rolling dice 2 levels higher by 2 constellations. There was nothing to discard from the 10 list. I just threw away the raid set weapons. Should I put together the Michaela set here and now? The Michaela set is one of the best weapons to get at the beginning, but it is difficult to get. The number of people holding all 3 weapons could be counted on one hand. He gave it to me as a main quest reward, a treasure that requires hard work, blood, sweat, and tears. All 10 are treasures that are only dropped when hunting specific raid monsters. But there was a reason why I couldn't help but worry. I am not a beginner, but a super old user of Pangenia. He hesitated because he knew very well that the remaining 8 were no better than the Michaela set. Of course, I would start with the Michaela set until the first year of Pangenia. A talisman of protection. You can activate Rest Area to prevent being attacked by monsters in the field. In this game, you'll be killed horribly if you do not log out at a designated location. However, as the game progresses, the number of save points decreases. What was needed at this time was a piece that established a safety zone, such as the Talisman of Protection. It is not only needed when logging out, but also when you need a break while hunting, so it is as useful as the Michaela set. The unfortunate thing is that it is volatile. The problem is that there is a limit to the number of uses. All items that forcibly establish a safe zone will fly away after being used a few times. However, it was a real treasure that had to be used carefully because it was extremely difficult to obtain. Seawater gills are essential when exploring the sea or river. This is also the same. There are many hidden dungeons in the sea and rivers. Although it is mostly an exploration area after level 7, I could have vomited blood while looking for the gills of seawater. So, it would be a wise decision to save it in advance. There is no need for it to be cold-hearted. I have dexterity, which is a hidden trait, so I can quickly increase my production skills with an anvil, but I am not a blacksmith. And were also not important to me. If you bring that flag to a specific kingdom, you can get a knighthood, but you'll be tied up, and the red tomb is your mount, but you already have the soul of Hydreigon. And among these, the one that attracts me the most is by far Shadow Cloak. A cloak that hides the wearer in the shadows. It's like giving the stealth skill for free. As long as the cloak is not damaged, it is permanent, so there are no benefits. It might be caught by high-tier search tools or high-level search skills, but that wasn't common either. Above all, this cloak will be incredibly useful in real life. An invisible person. Isn't this a romance that everyone dreamed of at least once when they were young? I chose the Shadow Cloak without hesitation. There's only one thing left now. My eyes lit up and I rubbed my chin. Which one should I choose among these? What should I choose so that word of mouth spreads that I made the right choice? Space and time are collapsing. Everything was falling apart. Now I'm confused as to whether this place is reality or a dream. Of course, this entire series of situations occurred only in Dramit's worldview. Dramit was watching the man, speechless. I thought I'll be burned to death by the star. He walked resolutely and picked up this star as if it had been his from the beginning. It's a dream. It's not real. Dramit denied it. It is a manipulated reality. An illusion shown by someone. Yes, it is clear that he is hallucinating right now. I guess I've been asleep for too long. Or maybe I ate something wrong. Are there a lot of magic mushrooms around? Dramit sped up his metabolism. If he is addicted to something, he just needs to detox and return to reality. Now close and open your eyes, and you will return to reality. Terrible. It was that moment when I strongly closed my eyes and quickly opened them. Wowea. Clusters of stars are pouring down. This is crazy. It was clear that the mushrooms I ate for breakfast were extremely powerful poisonous mushrooms. Otherwise, there's no way the star would have chosen that human, right? The owner of Star was the same as the owner of Dramit. The previous owner, Wilhelm, was a powerful human being. A perfect superhuman for Dramit to have as his master. The moment we met, I realized the difference in rank. Even if he had 1,000 or 10,000, he wouldn't be able to overcome that person. So, I humbly acknowledged it and led Wilhelm to the star. But look at that man. I have to take as my master a human who is worse than the golem outside, let alone Wilhelm. Transcendence is not even visible. Does that mean you're qualified? That's not it either. He was not even ready to hold a star. Rather than that, it was weaker than the golem outside or the rabbit at the foot of the mountain. There is bound to be a huge difference from yourself. Heaven and earth? It is a completely different dimension and level. So, when I was told I was taking on a challenge, I laughed out loud, because she was sure she would burn up in the stars. However, Dramit kneel. All right, snakes had no legs. This damned bastard was making the same demands that Wilhelm had made immediately after becoming master. Even the saying that there were no legs was the same. Aren't our expectations too high when facing a new owner? Shit. Shit. Damn it. No matter how much I resist, I cannot resist. Dramit put his face close to the ground. The body automatically reacted to match the man's eye level. Absolute shackles that cannot be rejected or resisted. It was consistent with the meaning that that human being was the master of the star and became his own master. Good job. Tuck. Tuck. The human laughed, tapping the bridge of Dramit's nose. Dare. He dares to call himself the old king and protector of the stars, as if he were a pet. I am Randolph. Please take good care of me from now on. Old King Dramit. I'm so moved that I'm speechless. Good night. Then, out of loyalty, let's start exploring this sanctuary. This is a dream. A terrible dream. Dramit denied reality. But Dramit's nightmare was just beginning. Exciting. Exciting. Isabella's heart began to beat like crazy. By looking at the stars? Or because that awakened person suddenly got a star? I don't know. What was certain was that she was extremely nervous right now. Isabella. Yes. I raised my voice without realizing it. At the moment of holding the star, the awakened person was not an awakened person. It was a star itself. I mean goddess. She is now standing before God. Even if she is the second in command of the desert metropolis Faisalmare, even if she is called a princess and revered, would she dare to be considered a goddess? Before God, she was an infinitely small being. Like dust, if you blow on it, it will fly away. In front of that giant, he acts like a servant and oversees everything. It is distrustful to dare to maintain the same attitude towards such a being as before. What do you want to do when the curse is lifted? Escape from the desert. After we leave the desert, I want to find my stem. You mean the Dershan family? Yes. He knows everything. He knew all the secrets. Isabella von Dershan. She was not born in the desert to begin with. She is a noble born into the Dershan family somewhere on the continent. It was the queen who found out that he was of Dershan origin. The queen cast her curse and told her secret. But this also went along with it. If you want to break the curse, obey. If you reach the level of princess, then I will lift the curse. The queen did not keep her promise. He knows a secret that he has never told anyone. No matter how much the stars tell us, it is impossible for an awakened person. However, if you were the owner of the star, if you were the star itself, it was possible. I will give you a blessing. However, there is a condition. What if it's a condition? Serve me for 1 year. After that, I will grant you freedom and find your stem together. Do you think it's a lie? Isabella shook her head. Then the star laughed. I am not a queen. I don't tell lies. They just said that if you serve 1 year, you will be given your freedom. In fact, it was okay even if it was a lie. If only I could lift the curse. If only I could escape this damn desert. I will serve you. Isabella swore fealty. Cough. Slaughter frowned at the message that suddenly appeared. Fuck, what's happening all of a sudden? Strict of interest? This ticket is only available to those who rank high in Main Quest 2. It was news that the interest in the secret auction house had been revoked. Although Slaughter was a ranker, the only class he had was ordinary. I was barely hanging on to the bottom of the rankings in Main Quest 2, but suddenly I was overtaken. It was annoying for a while. Randolph, 230 points. I thought I saw something wrong and rubbed my eyes. I finished Main Quest 1 with 220 points, and this time it's even higher. 230 points. What class do you have to get a score like that? I know that Gracia, who is in second place, also passed the secret class twice to get the Sword Saint superclass and scored 198 points. But 230 points? Is this guy really a phantom? Randolph, is this guy really a phantom? Probably so, because Phantom is the only one who knows everything about Pangenia and knows the secret to obtaining a class higher than Gracia. It seems that the character was deleted from the Great Expedition and was indeed summoned to Pangenia. Kill. I will definitely kill you. Slaughter gritted his teeth. No matter how good a class you get, you will be weak at this moment. I will find him and kill him for sure. whether in Pangea or in reality. All you have to do is find it wherever it is. Before that, I need to recover my ranking first. Hey. Sassel barely took a deep breath and calmly judged the situation. The first thing to do is to recover the rights. It wasn't that difficult. Even if you kill anyone in the ranking above you, your ranking will be restored. Chapter 10. How are you? Is Randolph really a phantom? 3 men and women gathered at a cafe in Gangnam Station. 2 identical-looking rugged men and a beautiful woman. They sip coffee at a table in the corner and continue their conversation despite the noise everywhere. Are you sure? Even if you don't know Main Quest 1, it's impossible to get a higher score than Gracia in the class section without extensive knowledge of the game, said the woman. As she said, the highest level class cannot be obtained through skill alone, a law that must be supported by overwhelming luck and knowledge that surpasses even that luck. If it weren't for Phantom, I couldn't understand that score. Phantom, the 5th-year Ghost player, has finally appeared. It's going to be a mess. Can we make contact first? 2 men who looked exactly alike opened their mouths heavily. The woman shrugged her shoulders. How? I searched for years, but couldn't find it in the end, right? That's because Phantom wasn't a real player until now. Now that he's a real player, there must be a way. Then should we try fishing? Don't you think a secret auction house was opened? It's fishing. If you want to win first place in the main 3, you will need to have a lot of items, so why not use the auction house? Fishing. This is slang used by players. Place high-quality items at a low price in a secret auction house and use Talisman's twin ability to find their location. Twin Talisman is an option that allows you to know each other's location even when they are far away. Beginners who did not know this bought items at auction houses just because they were cheap and then were chased down and killed or robbed, both in games and in reality. But isn't that a tactic only used by lowly bastards like Massacre? If you are a Phantom, you will also be familiar with the Talisman's options. There's no way you wouldn't notice. Both male twins expressed opposition. Fishing is a low-level method used only by novice hunters like Slaughter. Even if you use it, there's no way Phantom wouldn't know about it. The only ones who fall victim to fishing are beginners in Pangea who don't know Talisman's name. But the woman clicked her tongue. You still don't know Phantom? He's really the one who went to slit the devil's neck. It may have failed, but didn't you see the execution ability when starting the Great Expedition? Many people confirmed that the character, Wilhelm, was the Phantom, and Wilhelm was truly crazy, because he launched a great expedition despite numerous obstacles and the collapse of forces. Although he failed despite having 8 unique items, Wilhelm's achievements were at a level that will remain in Pangea's history for a long time. It is literally a myth itself. You probably thought it would be good to have fishing items in a secret auction house, and bought them. If you want to attack them, do so. They will kill everyone that comes in. Because that's the Phantom I know. The woman's eyes lit up. Phantom bassoon. The 2 men scratched their heads at the same time, thinking the same thing. What should I do after contact? Of course we should invite you to our guild. Will a Phantom come into our guild that has nothing? You have to try. Of course, Phantom must be a great person in real life, but we are better than other crazy people. Most Pangea players are crazy. It is full of people who cannot distinguish between games and reality and commit murder as if it were a meal. Monsters appeared in the previous collapse phenomenon, and some of them succeeded in laundering the image. However, the fundamentals do not go anywhere. Anyway, what kind of person is he? CEO of a large company? Oh, you must be the son of a Chable family. The woman's eyes lit up and her imagination unfolded. Looking at that, the 2 men shook their heads. The moment when I achieved 100% exploration rate while touring the sanctuary with Dramit. The rewards were listed along with the news that the subquest was completed. I was amazed when I saw the reward. The teleport book and the first achievement. As I picked up the thick blue book, a related explanation came to mind. Teleport book, narrative. A magic book that transports you to the location where you completed your exploration. Casting time, 30 seconds, can be used once per day. Currently registered waypoint, Desert Sanctuary. This book allows you to move back to a dungeon or location when its exploration rate reaches 100%. Although there's a warp that allows you to teleport when moving between areas, it has the disadvantages of being limited, not being able to move exactly to the desired location, and being expensive. It is an epic item that solves that problem neatly. I'll get 1 million gold. 1 million gold. This is the price at which you can purchase a mansion in Pangenia. If you put it on a secret auction site, there might be quite a bit of demand. A secret auction house activated by rising to the rank of Main Quest 2 is a place where all players can transact anonymously. I have no intention of selling it, but I suddenly wondered how much demand there would be if I uploaded it. The teleportation book was also an ultra-rare item with less than 20 pieces released. Plus, it's an achievement. Obtaining achievements is only possible after going through all kinds of trials and adversity. It could only be obtained by accomplishing something worthy of being praised as an achievement in Pangenia. If you are recognized as an achievement, your honor increases tremendously. As your honor increases, you can obtain a title or form friendships with named NPCs who only respond to those with a specific honor. More than anything, Level 3. Finally, Level 3. Each time you solve a main quest, your level increases. But it's not fast. Rather, it was too slow and it was a disaster. It's a system where the required experience increases depending on talent. My required experience right now is probably at least 10 times the average. Normally, at the time of solving Main Quest 2, the minimum level should be 4 and the highest level should be 5. However, now 3 means that the required experience is ridiculously high. It's because he has so much talent. Instead, Max Chi was pierced. The value of 10 per level is fixed to 12. I think it's thanks to the hidden characteristics. Of course, there were advantages as well. It's an advantage beyond imagination that doesn't even take into account increased experience points. Status window. As I repeated the status window, a piece of parchment appeared in front of me. Name, Randolph. Class, Heir of the Star. Level 3. Strength, 36 plus 5. Stamina, 36 plus 5. Dexterity, 36 plus 5. Intelligence, 36 plus 5. Holy Power, 36 plus 5. Every time you level up, all abilities increase by exactly 12. If anyone had seen it, they would have yelled at them not to use the bug. It was a number that was absolutely impossible with normal play. I understand that all talents are registered, and each time you level up, your abilities increase to max. But 10 is probably the maximum. Abilities increase randomly each time you level up, depending on your talent and experience. Each time you level up, your individual abilities increase to a maximum of 10, and only at extremes can you have an individual ability of 100 at level 10. To overcome it, you have to transcend it. But I go up by 12, and all abilities. This means that if you reach level 10, you will have 2-star abilities. At level 10, you can acquire abilities that can only be obtained by transcending by eating stars twice. There was no such thing as a disaster like this. Moreover, all abilities increase by 5 due to the class characteristic star possession effect. After playing Pangenia for 5 years, this was my first time seeing this. Once is a coincidence, but twice is inevitable. Among the hidden characteristics I've never seen before, there's something related to this. I rub my chin thoughtfully. 13 hidden traits. Of these, there are 3 that I'm seeing for the first time. Glutton, Great Sage, and Heaven. I don't know exactly what it is, but one of them is probably directly related to this phenomenon. You can only learn about these characteristics gradually by encountering them with your body. Anyway, I got everything I could from this exploration of the sanctuary. Shadow Cloak, Fairy Queen's Tears, Teleportation Book. Just looking at it makes me smile. There is nothing to throw away among the 3. Raid boss items that all boast extremely low drop rates. In particular, the Fairy Queen's Tears is an essential talisman. This is an extremely rare item that grants special options to equipment. It's a monster. A giant seawater has appeared in the sanctuary. Is it because there was a delay in exploring the sanctuary? One by one, the warriors entered the sanctuary and discovered Dramit. We need to get out before the great warrior and queen attack. Isabella's expression hardened. The number of warriors is increasing by the minute. We must escape before the sanctuary is sealed. Dramit, run wild. Sa. Dramit moved at my command. Even if you don't feel like it, it's your master's command. There is no right of veto. As Dramit began to rampage, he slowly lifted his shadow cloak. Let's ride together. Yes. We must leave the desert before a tracking party is formed. To do that, we have to get out of here without being detected. This is the only way to quietly escape through the chaos in the sanctuary. If the soldiers see me or Isabella in person, things will get worse. Isabella stepped into her cloak. Stick closer. Yes. Isabella's eyes trembled slightly. Afterwards, they quietly began to leave the sanctuary, wearing cloaks together closely. Warp out of the desert area. It takes about half a day for the warp to become active. Don't worry. The curse has been lifted. Due to the curse, Isabella cannot use the warp. I couldn't escape the desert area forever. But now that you have been blessed by the stars, you can use warp. I believe it. Isabella nodded. At the end of the desert, the other side is a black cliff. It was filled with endless darkness. There was a mixture of earnestness and desperation in Isabella's eyes as she looked beyond. Because you could only get to the next area through the warp. This part was exactly like the game. The point is that the regions are not connected to each other. It was already too late for Isabella to go back anyway. She knew that by now the queen would have noticed too, and she would have sent search parties and tracking parties. I must communicate with the stars until the warp is activated. We will protect you. Isabella, who understood what I meant, looked wary. Communication with the stars. It means logging out. But this is not a safe zone. If you log out, all kinds of beasts, monsters, or tracking squad could follow you. I entrusted my safety entirely to Isabella. If I had chosen the Guardian Amulet instead of the Fairy Queen's Tears, I would have been able to set up a safe zone. But I had no regrets. More than that, the Fairy Queen's Tears are a great talisman. It's a hopeful start. In front of me, the royal road stretched out beyond the golden carpet. Considering the connection with reality, growth in Pangenia is very important. What if more Pangenian monsters invade Earth in the future? Devil. It means that he could descend. A monster that even Wilhelm could not defeat may appear in reality. That thrilling destruction. I sat down, took a deep breath, and closed my eyes. Log out. Shoot. Shave under the water from the shower. After finishing my shower, I dried my body with a towel and dried my hair. Phew, it's cool. How long has it been since I showered and shaved? It feels so refreshing to take a shower after such a long time, to the point where I wish I had washed up sooner. I lived like a real wreck. I left the bathroom, looked at the state of the room, and sighed. Well, I lived without contact with the outside world for over a month. She didn't clean properly, and she just lived there. It would be hard to call going out after transforming when the giant mantis attacked. Pain. But she can't stay heartbroken and locked in a corner of the house forever. I said I quit the company, but I couldn't continue living like this. Let's clean it up. It was the moment when I made up my mind to clean up my room. Tiring. The phone trembled once with a sound alerting me that a text message had arrived. After picking up the cell phone on the desk and checking the text message, I couldn't help but frown. Brother, how are you? Because it was a text message from my ex-girlfriend who told me that I had no vision and that she was breaking up with me.